Good afternoon. It is Friday the 27th of June. We are in Vermont. We're going to be spending the night here. We are in an area that has been called in the past the electrical area. Therefore, protocols are going to be a little bit different today. Heading out into the woods. I'm not going to bring some of the electronics in an on state because I've had just too many irregularities with them in the past. So we're going to be doing this kind of not by the book, but by the protocols established. I'm doing my intro closer in just because I know that it's further in where we encounter this, and when I do, the camera's going to be off for a while just because it's that kind of an area. I don't know what resilience this camera has to the stuff going on with that, but we're gonna play it safe for now. That being said, let's get going. We're gonna do this area. I haven't been in this area. I've been to the right of this area but not in a while. This is the first time in here this year, and again, we're doing an overnight, so it's kind of a night op too. So we're gonna save some camera for that as well. So let's get moving, see what we find. Thanks. We're operating past where I believe the majority of the electrical area is, and the camera again is untested against the forces thereof. But yes, this trail is as swampy, shitty, and bug infested as I remember, but interestingly enough, I have seen many grouse in here come fall, coming back with a bow, and I will see about delving into that. So we got in a little bit later than we thought. We had some home business to deal with first before we got in here. We left later because we were going to camp overnight, so I normally will like to have camp firewood and such in advance, but it just didn't work that way today. We're tracking a moose, I guess, too. You see that. Walking through this muddiest, crappiest part of this trail, of which there is little deer flies are back out, but this trail is kind of known for being buggy and muggy and all that. So before we settle into camp to do some night operations, should we be alone enough to do so, we will see how we have luck there. We didn't end up in the area we thought we were going to be in the number 3 area, we thought, because we would be in an area where I've camped before over a large wetland, but somebody had gotten there first. Little X for your stick structure folks out there. So we're not in an, but we had a plan B, so we're operating off a plan B instead. So long story short, for the next week I'm unemployed because of layoffs where I work. Fortunately, I saw them coming, and I'm in the process of wrangling a few probabilities towards the next gig. So there's that. I'm not going to focus on that tonight. Tonight was kind of like come out, lick your wounds, come in, hit the ground running next week, and begin that cycle. But on Monday of the week after, all things beginning, I have a new gig lined up, and I will be seeing where that takes me for the foreseeable future, considering that I've been in that role before. 3.5 years ago, I left a place I thought I might be at longer, but we're going to talk about work stuff. So also trying to ignore the bugs in this goddamn muddy hellhole that is really just not making this hike easy. Again, I'd forgotten what a swampy ass shithole this trail is. You gotta go from like part of the part of the dryish land. Notice I say dryish, not dry, because to determine how deep in your feet are gonna sink. That's always a delight. But we are 3.5 years ago, we had left a job that was amazingly bad for my mental health. Went to another one. And truth be told, the job itself, nothing really wrong with it. But then the higher ups decided to merge, and when they merged, they were taking two organizations that were polar opposites and trying to cookie cutter the whole thing. And you just know it's time to go when everybody who's been there for any period of time is literally running for the hills. You know, the rats start jumping the ship. So I did likewise, and I was here for 3.5 years, had a good run, but educational systems are being hit with budget cuts, and resultingly, if you are in a union as I was, and the union has a pecking order, and you're up against people that have been there for 20 years or so, 3.5 years isn't really that much. And so, truth is, every year I've been there around June, they start whispering about the budget with concern, so you can't help but take notice of that. And in the course of doing that, you start making preps. Mystery poo. Almost sounded like I was going to scream. Ice cream man. That's not ice cream. So, there's that. In Bigfootville, not really sure what's going on. One of the guys in Squatchachusetts was up this way, I guess, last week doing a Small Town Monsters interview. I know the guy, he's a good guy. Hopefully it went well. Stay out of my area, but areas. But anyway, just kidding for the most part. But they would have written about this area if they knew about it. It's just too fucked up not to. But so 3 times in a row I was here and was able to reproduce the electrical shit, for lack of a better way of putting it. I went back the 3rd time after my phone had gotten fucked up. I think it even got fucked up when it was off, because for a while I had the protocol, just turn the thing off and don't have it on the whole time you're out here, because whatever is producing these phenomenon is capable of screwing up the phone. And not good. So I have left it away, far and away. But the weird thing is, there are grouse hunting grounds up over that way, over a couple of hills. And if you go in from that area, you don't run into it. So it is a localized phenomenon based on something. I have never been able to actually determine what its actual root cause is, but interestingly enough, it is definitely reproducible. But the last time I was here, it didn't come out to play, oddly enough, so not sure what to tell you there. But so that's the area we're in. I'm trying my best not to have equipment, because the last time we had this happen, my Removu K1 died, went into a reboot loop that it never recovered from. So if you have cameras and you like them working, you be mindful of the rules of engagement in this particular area and its oddness. So that's where we are. Plans for the evening, kind of to be determined, because number one, I didn't end up where I expected. Like I said, I was going to be in a different area where you have an overhang to a large wetland where you can do vocalizations or wood knocks or whatever and listen out over that area. See if you, because I have heard wood knocks come out of that area too, but the plan did not go as planned, so instead we're on the far side of there's a river and surrounding woodlands where behind my campsite, and on the other side you can go in. You'll eventually hit the reservoir, but you also have all this that we're walking through in the meantime, and some of it is reasonably dense. So, and once again, the weather's not exactly doing what they said it was going to do, but that's actually proving to be a better thing than what they were prescribing. So, knock on wood, I'm not going to jinx it. We're going to do that. In the morning, we may, if we get the gumption, may do an initial scouting run of the bow tie area, which is a bit north of here too, on the way out, because, you know, you're here, why not? But we'll determine that in the morning, depend on that. We might get some overnight storms too, so that could affect things. That's about all for the opening. As we get deeper in, the trail seems to get over itself as far as the mud factor, but skeeters are doing well. This is what I came out here to see, though. Nice big beaver pond out here. I have not been here in a while, so we're gonna check in. I didn't think this area was subjected to the electro area, but interestingly enough, the K1 was off most of the time before I got here, but when I did, it did the whole reboot thing and then died. So at this point, I'm going to take a segment break, try to approach, and then maybe you will pick up once I'm down near the water line for a bit. See what's going on down there. But yes, we'll be back in a bit. This is what I came out here to take a look at. And surprisingly, I've never fished here. If I had had more time, more prep time, so to speak, to plan out this trip, I might have brought a fishing pole out here, gotten here earlier and seen what you might pull out of here. But today we're just going to partake of the scenery. So as I bat bugs away, some past history, if you go further that way, go to the right, you have the area with the sinkholes. That's always a fun time. Or you go that way, and you'll break even with bits of the reservoir, where the last time I was here, I ran into a bear who was hanging out and doing bear whatnot. Didn't seem too worried about me being around, but I gave him space anyway, because it's still a bear. And guess not this time, but there's been a few times you'll walk in, you get a really cool scene where you have a great blue heron flying off in the distance for a lovely little nature shot too. What I'm going to try to do is get some photos on this camera, but it's actually, I think it was the K1 that sucked for that, but let's see what we can do. So hold on. Back briefly. So pretty pond on the back side of an area that's a bitch to get to in some respects. As I look over my shoulder, there's 4 deer flies trying to chow down. And I don't really know that I want that, so we're gonna head back and maybe check out a second area before dinner, since I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, since I'm already operating on kind of a limited expectations agenda anyway. And surprised by the amount of grouse in the area. If you're going to argue for Squatchy poaching the area for food, and I'm going to apologize for the jerky camera work, but I'm swatting the damn deer flies. I'm going to go cameraless in a bit because of the reapproach to the area. The sad thing about this pond is it could be an awesome spot to do a fireless nighttime like Biggie visual, but the mosquitoes would fucking eat you alive. You would be one big festering mosquito bite by the time you were done with the whole thing. So we're going to make our way back, and we will see what time it is, and then maybe head over to the Expanse and see what's going on there. But we'll be back in a